everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. So I want to thank everyone for coming out today. This is day 3 of our week-long action to stand up to Dominion's $76 million ripoff. And that's exactly why we're here. Because Dominion is ripping off customers and all Virginians to the tune of $76 million in the name of renewable energy as a bonus and extra profit without actually investing in real Virginia-made wind and solar power. And the $76 million comes from one law that the General Assembly passed in 2007 known as the Renewable Portfolio Standard. And the RPS was meant to incentivize real wind and solar and all of the health and environmental benefits and reduction on fossil fuels that clean energy development will bring. That was the purpose of it. And instead of actually seeing those impacts that we need, instead of seeing less coal, less natural gas, which would mean less mountaintop removal coal mining, reduce the threat of hydrofracking for natural gas in our forests, instead of seeing those benefits, all we're seeing is more fossil fuels. And all we're seeing is more mountaintop removal coal mining, more natural gas hydrofracking to power these dirty energy power plants. And so in addition to the dozens of people here today, the even more dozens of people who have shown up this week, this is a week-long action. And on Monday, as part of our kickoff press conference, we released a poll that confirms that everyone who has turned out here is not alone. 63% of Virginians want to see Dominion fulfill this RPS with either wind or solar power as one of their top 2 options. That's what we want, and that's what we're here to call for today. Because more fossil fuels, more business as usual, means that Dominion is gaming the system and ripping off customers for a $76 million bonus, and ripping off all Virginians by fueling the demand for more mountaintop removal coal mining and more natural gas hydrofracking. And so today, we're here to call attention to this ripoff, to call attention to mountaintop removal coal mining, natural gas fracking that Virginians are seeing because Dominion is ripping us off. So we have a few great local speakers to talk about these impacts that we're seeing. We're going to start out hearing from Rabbi Ben Romer from West Virginia talking about mountaintop removal coal mining. We're going to hear from Glenn Bessa from the Sierra Club talking about Virginia-specific impacts. And then we'll fill in some more of the facts about what the heck is this fracking and what does it have to do with Virginia. And after that, we are going to take to the sidewalk and picket Dominion Power behind me, whose office takes up an entire city block. And we're going to picket them and demand that they stop ripping off Virginians and start investing in Virginia-made wind and solar power now.
All right.
So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Rabbi Ben Romer here. And you can come over here.
I live here in the capital city area. I was born in West by God, Virginia. My dad was born in West Virginia, and my grandfather, who ran a department store, used to provide the suits for the miners who died free because they couldn't afford them, because company for profit and not for care for the land used their lives up for their personal profit. Now we have a situation in which public lands, those owned by us, the American people's heritage, the mountains of West Virginia and Virginia, the land that is the public's, ours, being misused for private gain. Next week I will read the story of creation. And at the end of the story of creation it says, you will have, well, one of the translations is dominion, stewardship, which doesn't mean I get to do anything I want to with the land because I'm the 1%. and therefore I own the land. You don't own the land. It is the people's lands. And we as humans are God's co-partners in assuring that the land is protected. We are stewards. And in early rabbinic tradition, there is a story told that God approaches the people and says, look around you, this beautiful land that I have created. If you destroy it, there is no one left to bring it back. To say that you are working for renewable energy and you fail to do so indicates moral failure, moral religious failure, secular moral failure. And for an organization to claim free money is basically wasting government money, public money for private gain. And Dominion therefore acts as a private, unaccountable government. And that is not what public is about. These are our lands. West Virginia is a beautiful place. Virginia, Western Virginia is a beautiful place. To destroy it for the purpose of profit and short-term gain when we have the resources to invest in solar and wind energy is a failure of will, a failure of moral position, and only fuels the greed crisis in which we find ourselves. In closing, if we are to be God's co-partners, we who represent the public must hold accountable private corporations to protect the land that is not theirs and the beauty of that which was given to us. Our public government accountable officials who are meeting across the street at this time in an echo chamber have the obligation to protect the public and to provide for the energy needs in the most ethical and moral ways possible. Let us hold them accountable. That the public, as co-partners in the protection of the world in which we live, finds the way to convince the public government that investing in solar and wind energy will assure that our mountaintops and our streams and our people do not die.
Amen.
Thank you. And yes, Dominion likes to paint itself as a good corporate citizen, a good steward of the environment. They release pretty reports, have entire websites dedicated to it. But we're here because we know they're not backing that up. They are continuing to rely on coal and natural gas to blow up our mountains and frack our lands. And Glenn Bessa is going to talk a little bit about the Virginia impacts.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here today. I love this autumn weather. Obviously, climate change does not exist. More seriously.
Glenn, hold it closer.
Okay, closer. All right. So, in Virginia, we've lost over 50 mountains and over 200 miles of streams to mountaintop coal mine.
Let me try something.
Make sure you got it. You got to hold the trigger, right?
They're working out? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So, in Virginia, we've lost over 50 mountains and over 200 miles of streams to mountaintop coal mine. Week after next, Southern Appalachian Mountain Stewards will be sponsoring a weekend in Wise County. And if you aren't aware of that, you should go in and look for them on the website, Southern Appalachian Mountain Stewards, or SAMS, or you can look at our circle website. And I would invite you to go down there the weekend after next to actually see mountaintop removal up close. The picture, as horrible as it is, doesn't do it justice. You'll also learn about the immediate crises down there with respect to Ice and Rock Ridge and the Coalfield Expressway. That is basically a 50-mile road that will open up a 50-mile strip mine. And so I really think it's critically important, and we recognize that one of the consequences of not investing in wind and solar, renewable energy, is continued reliance on fossil fuel and all the devastation that it brings. And perhaps the most visible form of that is mountaintop removal coal mining, unless your water faucet serves as a flare for natural gas, in which case no fracking actually is a serious problem as well. Again, the weekend in Wise is a great opportunity for folks to learn more about this firsthand, to meet with the people that live in the coal fields who are courageously fighting against big coal and against the utilities that are down there. When you live in an urban area, you typically have a certain amount of immunity that protects you from harassment. When you live in a small town, a coal town, and you stand up to what people know is wrong, you're bound to get a lot of harassment. Even if people secretly go to your side and say, I don't think what they're doing is right, they're not going to stand with you, many of them are not, because they're concerned about their brother-in-law losing his job at the coal mine and all those kinds of things that happen. That's what routinely happens in the coal fields of Virginia, West Virginia, and everywhere else where they destroy the earth to pull out the coal. I want to mention one other thing too, and that is that later today, we're going to close the circle between the money that drives the energy policy in the state and the energy companies that basically give that money and direct that policy. At 5:30, up at the convention center here, which is about 5 blocks from here, I just walked down, right on Broad Street at 4th, actually, we're going to have a rally. And Bob McDonald's going to be there. If you haven't seen Bob in his latest outfit, we've got him in a NASCAR jumpsuit with all the logos of the companies that pay for our energy policy in Virginia. If you're going to be around later today, or you can come back if you live close, come on by the convention center at 5:30. From 5:30 to 6:30, we're going to have a rally to talk about a report that we did drawing attention to the millions and millions of dollars that flow into the politicians' hands, Democrats and Republicans, to stifle clean energy and to advance the interests of the existing powers that be towards fossil fuel. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, folks, we have one special speaker also talking about Virginia impacts of mountaintop removal. Please welcome Nathan Jenkins, the Virginia Campaign Coordinator for Appalachian Voices.
All right, thank you, Keith, and thank you, Glenn, for that. I'm here today from Appalachian Voices. We work on general issues for the health and prosperity of the people of Appalachia. Sorry. And one of the things that definitely affects southwestern Virginia and southern Appalachia is mountaintop removal coal mining. And basically, this is an extreme form of mining where the companies take the rock and the dirt and the trees, what we would typically consider the mountaintop, and they shave all that off and they push it over into the valleys, which ends up burying miles and miles of streams. About 1,200 miles of streams so far in Appalachia, and over 500 mountains have been destroyed. And that's 67 mountains in Virginia, or over 156,000 acres, which is about 25% of Wise County, or up to 40% depending on who you listen to. So, anyway, what they leave behind when they're done is the real problem. They take all the coal, all of it, what has sustained these communities for over a century, and it's just all gone. And they leave behind the pollution and the toxic waste in these valley fills. And what also comes out is extreme flooding, because there's no vegetation that can grow on these sites. It takes about 125 years to get 1 inch of topsoil. So it'll be centuries before trees grow again. And basically, this allows runoff to come off like a parking lot, and it flash floods these towns. So it also has taken thousands of jobs away that used to be underground mining jobs, and now it's all heavily mechanized. And these communities are basically just being destroyed and forgotten about. So it's a horrible issue of which you can learn much more about at ilovemountains.org, and they have lots of tools on there that can give you more information about this topic. All right, thank you very much.
So the last thing we're going to talk about today is something that right now is mostly a threat in Virginia, while it's happening in other areas in our region. And that's what Dominion is planning on doing to supply the tons and tons of megawatts of natural gas power that they're planning to bring online in the next few years. While Dominion's getting a $76 million bonus, supposedly for investing in renewable energy, what their 15-year plan shows the most of in coming years is new natural gas-fired power plants. And the reason so many utilities and Dominion are turning to natural gas is because of the boom in fracking for natural gas in the Marcellus Shale, which in Virginia, a large part of the Marcellus Shale sits right under the George Washington National Forest. So what is fracking? Fracking, they inject thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of water, sand, and a long list of toxic chemicals full of carcinogens deep into rock to bust up the rock underground, go in horizontally, and release the natural gas that's trapped there. Now, along with releasing that natural gas that goes into pipelines, there also is strong evidence of fugitive methane emissions, which means natural gas is contributing a greenhouse gas that is even more potent than carbon dioxide into our atmosphere through fracking. People like to say that for the climate, fracking is twice as clean as coal, or half as dirty for just a little bit less spin. But in truth, on a 20-year timeline, those fugitive methane emissions make fracking worse than coal for our climate. Natural gas is not the answer. And it's not what Virginians are paying Dominion a $76 million bonus for. They're getting ripped off and paying the bonus. And counties in Virginia are starting to wake up as more and more of the harmful, disastrous impacts of fracking are seen in states like Pennsylvania. And 2 counties, Rockingham and Washington County, here in Virginia, have banned fracking within their counties. And that's what we need to see. We do not need to see more fracking and more natural gas in Virginia. Instead, we need Dominion to be earning that $76 million bonus by actually investing in Virginia-made wind and solar power, not more fossil fuels.
Yeah.
So we're going to go send them that message. Some logistics notes. First, since we have such an awesome, dynamic, huge crowd here today, we want to take a group picture. So we're going to ask everyone to line up around this banner once I say go. Not yet. And we're going to take a quick group picture so that we can get everyone all in one place. Then we're going to start the picketing. And we're going to file out that direction from the Kanawha Plaza, walk up about a block to a busy entrance into Dominion's office building, which is this massive building behind us, behind me. And we're going to picket for about a half hour. And on top of that, we're going to send in a representative with a letter and 600 petitions from like-minded Virginians to deliver to Dominion saying it's not just us. Here's everyone else that we're speaking for. And throughout this week, we're delivering 3,000, escalating every day. So today's number is 600, but that's part of something bigger. So we're going to picket for about a half hour outside of Dominion, and then come back here to wrap up, put up your photo petition if you haven't already, and then after the rally and the picket, we also have the opportunity to talk more about the action, have some snacks and granola bars at CCAN's office just a few blocks away. Clear on logistics. So first, group photo. Second, head off to the picket. We'll deliver the petitions, come back here, and we'll wrap it up. All right.
Clean energy, all right? 1, 2, 3. Clean energy! Oh, come on! Let's go a little louder. 1, 2, 3. do fists in the air too? Do an action photo? Fists in the air. Let's make it a little action. All right. Glenn, go ahead. Good. All right, so on the count of three, let's see clean energy and a fist in the air. 1, 2, 3. Clean energy! Nice, good job, guys. Keith, who's leading?